guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. We got a ton of rain last night.
Yay!
It's been so nice, and it wasn't with a lot of wind. I mean, there was a little breeze, but we had thunder and lightning, and Benjamin and Aaron and I were out watching it after Samantha. She stayed asleep during the whole thing. But we sat outside and watched it, and it was just
trying to take pictures of the lightning.
Yeah. All of us, including Benjamin, he had his tablet out there. We were all like waiting for the next lightning to strike so we could take a picture. But anyway, it always makes you feel like a little bit at ease. For us anyway, when we don't get rain, like, you know, we did this spring, we got a lot, but in the summer. I
love being able to turn off the drips.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, it makes me feel good just to shut them off.
Pause.
Yeah.
For just a minute. So anyway, other than the high humidity that has followed that storm, like this morning when I went out to plant, it was 70% or just over 70%, and I thought, like, I'm gonna die. This is so humid. I'm used to, like, I can take the 108 with no humidity, with like 11% humidity. If it's like 95 and 70% humidity, it just makes me want to stay inside all day. Anyway, let's jump into the videos from last week. I think this one, we don't have quite as many videos, right, Aaron?
Well, there's not as many questions. I didn't get questions from the Q&A with your mom.
Okay.
Because
that
you
whole
weren't
video
like doing
was a
a
Q&A.
project or anything. It's not, you know,
Sure.
I don't know. I just didn't feel, I feel like you'll probably sit down with her again to do like a part 2. So we'll save it for that.
She was very happy to have something different to do, you know. In fact, you'll see a video, I don't know if it'll be out before this one or not, but I had her over here to do some projects and things, some sit down sort of projects. So anyway, first video was, let me go to the top again, August garden tour, trying to keep things alive in the heat. We had like this brief moment of overcast. We didn't even plan to film a garden tour that day, so like the garden looked just like it does on every other day. Like I did nothing to make the garden look better like you want to, you know. If you have people over to your house or you're wanting to tour people through your garden, you kind of want to like dress it up a little bit.
Nope.
At this point though, I feel like our garden is like, can we even dress it up at this point?
Well, there's a lot of it. Like we would, if we wanted to dress it up, we would almost need to hire like another person to fuss all the time.
Yeah. Groom.
Yeah.
Because
you do that, but
I do that, but only as much as I can.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, Bethany does some of that. Yeah. Christine said, when you say you started annuals from seed, do you mean straight outside or inside under lights? I would like to do more things like this in my garden. A lot of what I have out there in terms of annuals, especially in the cut flower garden, were started from seed in the greenhouse, which, as you know, last fall we set it up to where it's heated now. So I did a lot of my seed starting out there. Sometimes I do a little bit in here. In fact, behind me I've got our broccoli and cabbage seedlings started for this fall's crop, because it's cooler in here. So some seeds need it to be cooler this time of year, some like it to be warmer, you know, that sort of thing. There are some annuals that I do like to start from seed outside, and typically those are things like zinnias and cosmos and marigolds, nasturtiums, bachelor's buttons, larkspur, bells of Ireland, whitefinch, orlea, you know, there's a lot.
I was going to ask you, could you plant like an acre of zinnias?
Yes, I could.
Is that like a thing that people...
Is that a challenge? That would be gorgeous.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking with that open space.
That is my favorite idea up to this point.
Okay, I don't know a lot about flowers. How long would the zinnias look good?
For most of the season.
Really?
Yeah. And we could plant them from seed. We wouldn't have to start them. We would have to do some major weed control in the beginning, though, unless we wanted to roll out some, or do like the wood chips in between the rows.
Well, could you do rows? I mean, like,
you want it like straight zinnias. You don't want any walking paths so like people could come in and pick?
I don't know. I don't really know what I was thinking. I was just like imagining a field of zinnias.
That's one of those crops. If you start those from seed, like they take a minute, you know, to get going, to germinate, and then it takes some heat to get them going. But once they start blooming, they look good for the whole rest of the season. They're an amazing crop that way. So that's such a good idea. How come you didn't tell me this before?
Well, it was last night, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I was just like, I hadn't gone to bed yet or something, and I was just thinking,
Just sitting down there thinking,
I thought to myself,
what flower should we plant?
Yeah, but you could do rows, and you could do drip tape.
Yeah. Much like we do right now.
Yeah, but then, you know, the drip tape would show unless you covered it. And it's going to be a lot of drip tape. But can you water them overhead? Probably wouldn't want to.
Not as desirable,
So
no.
you'd probably want to do rows of
Yeah.
zinnias.
You wouldn't have to do the whole thing, though.
But you could.
You could. One could.
I think you can run drip tape a long ways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So you could, I wonder, it'd be interesting to step off like how many rows it would take.
I would definitely put more space between the rows versus our garden right now. Like on a larger scale, I'd probably put like 4 feet between, big sections.
Yeah.
So that you have a more decent walking path.
Sure.
It's a really good idea. All right. Well, there you have it. Bring Wine House Back said, "Are you?" I read that like a robot. Okay. Bring Wine House Back. Bring Wine House Back. Said, "Are you concerned about the red lanternfly coming that we're dealing with in the Northeast?" No. I mean, I'd get concerned if it came here, but I'm not going to concern myself with it until that happens. Megan said, "How do you prune the denim and lace?" So in the late fall or early spring,
Do you?
What?
Do you prune it?
Well,
I guess once a year. You don't prune it like to shape.
Like what?
Oh, well, I was thinking, it's a small plant.
Yeah.
It's not that big.
Well, pruning is, cutting it back.
Sure.
You're using pruners to do
Yeah,
that.
gotcha.
So I cut it back to about 2 inches above the ground, late fall, early spring. That is the only thing we do with that plant ever.
What would happen if you didn't?
It would look scrubby.
Would it?
Yeah. You'd have the dead growth from last year.
Sure.
And then some new growth from this year. No Dig Nebraska said, "Would you say you are figuring out the watering with Superbells, or are they still struggling?" I think they look better this year than they have. They could look better. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things in our garden that could look better.
I think with Superbells, it's not necessarily the watering, it's staying on it with iron.
That could be it.
Don't you agree that they yellow out? Like Superbells, more than any other plant, will yellow for us quicker than a lot of other plants. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to stay on the chelated iron.
Right.
If you don't, if you get off,
yeah, which if you're using, we use the Proven Winners water soluble fertilizer, which has the correct kind of chelated iron in it. If you stay on it with that, you're pretty good, I think, for the most part. The one pot I showed you right at the beginning of the tour was all flooded. Those Superbells didn't really survive. So
they'll get yellow if you flood them.
Those look pretty bad. Jeffrey said, "Where can we find the ones you are saying for next year?"
I think it's probably just like in general the plants that you say, hey, this is going to be available for next year, or I'm trialing a plant or something.
Sure. Typically, you'll see them show up at like independent garden centers first. And usually, those even independent garden centers, like my parents' garden center here in town, they're subject, they could only order what the growers grow. So some growers kind of stick in the same kind of growing habit or rut, I guess. And it takes them a while to start, bringing in those newer things. And some are really proactive. Let's keep bringing in all these new things. And so it kind of just depends on who the suppliers are as well. So usually it takes a few years, I would say, to see a consistent supply of a new plant, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, if you just want one, though, you can order them online.
You can, yeah. That is there. It is a more expensive option, but they offer it as a convenience if you can't find it.
The most expensive option,
yes.
Usually.
Well, and they know that because it's a beast to ship plants and, hope that they show up okay. Joanna said, "Always love your garden tours. Question about the hibiscus in the south garden. Do you pinch the new growth as it comes up in the late spring?" No, I don't. The Proven Winners site suggests doing this a time or two in early summer to improve branching on some varieties, the ballet slippers. I do not have that variety. You certainly look glorious for being in its second season. Yeah, it looks so good. In fact, I put something up on TikTok today about that evening rose hibiscus. It looks so gorgeous, and I don't pinch anything. Me and the maintenance, what you got going on over there?
Yeah, there's a little gnat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just one.
Just one gnat?
But it's in my face.
Oh. Yeah, me. Whoa, did you get it?
I got it.
Oh, good.
It's dead.
Nice. Maintenance things, sometimes I'm not the best about. Things that kind of just have to be planted and then just kind of thrive. And those are the kind of plants that I want to lean on heavier and heavier, as we plant more and more things. I want to put things out there that I know can just kind of do it on their own.
Once a year cutback.
Yeah, I like those type a lot. Jay Scursion said, "Your yard looks so beautiful, but where do you find the time to deadhead flowers, trim, cut back, and keep up with all of your gardens and still have time for some family time and well-needed R&R? My gardens are an eighth of perhaps one of your gardens, and I struggle from time to time to find time for some R&R. I've got to know your secret." First of all, as many of you know, we do have help. We couldn't do it without our help. We have one full-timer outside and one part-timer outside. And of course we have help with editing, and your sister is watching our kids today. We have a lot of people. We have a team of people around us to help us get things done. And even then, sometimes it's hard, and we're going constantly. We actually were talking, as the kids get older, we're going to have to start carving out more time for family vacations and things like that, because we don't do stuff like that, especially during the growing season. We are here. And, usually like right after we get done with shooting this video, I'm going to go in and start dinner. After dinner's done and cleanup from dinner's done, I come back outside and I have to rewater things and go around and make sure that everything's looking okay. Usually the kids are in and out and helping with that, or just being with us. And then, we hang out with the kids, or I hang out with the kids. It is a constant all the time. So I do as much of it as I can. I like to bring you guys along for a lot of that as well in video, if I can do that too. But we also do have good help. Yeah. Julianne said, what is the name of the natural product for spider mites that Paul discovered? I brought it in here because Aaron did say he grabbed a question pertaining to that. This is what it is. Growers Ally Spider Mite Control. This is a concentrate, clearly. This is in a 32-ounce container. The active ingredients are rosemary oil, 50%, clove oils, 3%, and peppermint oil is 1.95%. It makes up to 100 gallons. You can harvest the same day that you spray it. Zero residual, kills spider mites. So, it also kills aphids, whiteflies, mealybugs, leaf rollers, and scale insects. Still use this, still an insecticide. You still want to use it at the proper time, so usually dusk is the best time to be doing that. Anyway, Paul has been having some good luck with this though. He started with a little RTU, just a ready-to-use spray bottle, and he was spraying our juniper topiary on the left side of our chicken coop. It was just covered, especially the top pom-pom, covered in spider mites, and now it's looking pretty good. So
still probably would need to alternate that with one or two other products.
You're right. So do this 1 week, and then you use Captain Jack's Dead Bug 1 week, and then something else.
Malathion.
The 3rd week. So anyway, that's what that is. Next video is my 2022 fall bulb order and giveaway. When are we announcing the winners?
Probably in the next...
So not this recap, but the next recap. So next week's recap video, we will say the names of the winners. Hey, my brother is here to get some plants, so I'm going to take a quick break. Okay, where was I at? I think at the beginning of the 2022 fall bulb order and giveaway, which we already determined we were going to announce winners next week, right? Okay. So first comment was from Angie. New gardener in Ohio, are you planning to experiment on growing some of your bulbs early in the greenhouse to see how they do? I will, I haven't really thought about it too much. I think I might grow some in crates like you see people do, so you can harvest them out for cutting. That seems a heck of a lot easier than actually planting them out in the ground, because tulips in particular don't naturalize as well. So a lot of times when people do cut flowers, they'll grow them in those crates, pull them out bulb and all, and then the flower lasts a lot longer until you can get it to where you need to, make your arrangement. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Anyway. Yeah, I haven't really thought through that, though. I don't know if I'll actually do that. Deidre said, do you grow English bluebells? I have Spanish bluebells.
What's the difference?
Is that different than English bluebells? I don't know. Let me look it up. The main differences between a Spanish bluebell and an English bluebell are, on the Spanish flower, the bells are all around the stem, not just on one side, which gives the English bluebell its drooping stature. The leaves are wider and bigger. The petals of each bell open wider and flare at the ends rather than curl. So that's interesting. So the Spanish bluebells are more of a uniform kind of bloom panicle, as opposed to the English, which have all the blooms on one side, so it gives it that drooping structure. Interesting. We all learned something today, or I did, at least. Mary said, how much space do you need for 100 bulbs? I have a small space, about 6 by 4 feet, 6 feet by 4 feet, that needs something. Oh, you can do 100 bulbs in that easy if you've got nothing else in there. I mean, you can put bulbs like side to side, pretty much shoulder to shoulder in the ground, especially if you're doing tulips. If you're doing daffodils, I would probably give them more space, because daffodils do naturalize depending on your climate, where you're at. Both tulips and daffodils need a certain amount of cold in order to spur on bloom, bud production, and bloom the next year. So if you don't get enough of that, more mild climates, they have a harder time with bulbs than others, because they just don't get the cold that they need. And I think that was one of our problems with some of our bulbs this year, is that we were pretty mild this year.
Yeah.
And between being fairly dry and fairly mild, I think that's what happened with our orchard bulbs. Katrina said, what type of tulip bulbs last year after year? Well, like the more wild tulips, the littler ones tend to last a little bit longer and naturalize a little bit better. And you will, from time to time, like Darwin tulips tend to last longer than some of the others. So you might try some of those. And there are several different Darwin types out there. The other ones, I'll have good luck for a certain amount of time, and then they eventually start fizzling out. Every single type I have tried. So I would really like it if those Mentons lasted forever.
Yeah, those are really pretty.
Those were awesome. Jamie said there are so many to try. I'm wondering if bulbs would do well planted under evergreen trees. Do you have any planted near or under evergreens? I don't, but I would do like a big, massive amount of like snowdrops. Something like that. I think that would be so pretty. It depends on how far up your evergreens are limbed up. Like if they're actual trees that you can walk under. Actual trees, that's a dumb thing to say. If they're a tree that you can walk under, or if they're one you've let the canopy grow to the ground, you'll want to do shorter things. But you could do like the Snowbells, the leucogens. I have those underneath an evergreen viburnum and lilac and a locust tree, and they look gorgeous under there. That's what I would do. Jill said, how can I pull up sequential GA videos? When I search YouTube for GA, they only show sporadic dates. I doubt I've missed many. I love watching daily, but I'd like to be able to search by topic or dates. Can anyone help me, please?
Well, okay, so if you want to search by topic, you can type in topic and garden answer, or like garden answer can come first. So like garden answer hydrangea in the YouTube search bar. That'll do it. Or garden answer houseplant. Probably not a lot of videos will pop up.
No.
If you want to go by date, we have playlists. So if you go to our main channel and then click on playlist, it's all by season, and we are in the 9th season right now.
It's amazing. Tony said, how do you remember where you've planted your bulbs so you don't try to plant something else and end up on top of the bulbs, or do you plant on top? I just plant. Most of the time when I'm digging, even with the auger's actually better than shovels, I think, for bulbs anyway, because oftentimes if you're digging with an auger in the spot where you have bulbs, it kind of like picks them up and tosses them out without wrecking them. A shovel just will slice right through them if it's in the way. So oftentimes like I'll dig a hole and I'll have 1 or 2 bulbs pop up out of the hole, and I just pop them right in. So I put the root ball of the plant in, and I just stick them in like next to the root ball, and then backfill so that I just replant them.
That's a huge selling point for using an auger versus a shovel, because you're right. Like even though it's spinning quickly,
it can wreck them, but it doesn't as often.
It doesn't wreck a lot of things like drip tape or tubing. Yeah, it just kind of it moves it to the side because there's nothing to actually grab onto it when the tape or tubing is tight.
The only time I notice the auger hurting the drip tubing is if you accidentally put the pilot hole, like the bit,
right on top of it.
Right on top, which I've done before. But that's rare. But most of the time, like I'll hit drip tubing, and it just kind of like kicks it to the side, and then it'll kind of rest in one of the tracks of the auger.
Right.
And then to move to the side a little bit. Or oftentimes I'll take my foot and just kind of move the drip tubing to the side to continue my hole. Yeah. And do it that way.
Boom.
There you go. Miranda said, can you explain why bulbs are sometimes sold as a blend of different colors and not separated? Just for, I think, a lot of different reasons. You can do a blend that does really well together that will give you maybe a succession of blooms. So oftentimes you'll have some early season bulbs in that blend and mid-season and late season, so that if you get this one blend, you're going to have color all season long. You'll also get multiple different sizes and maybe structures, so it's just a very pleasing thing. It's like a convenience almost. Like if you don't want to plan out your bulb succession, you just buy a blend.
It'll be good for a lot of people who just can't pick out colors that go together.
Yeah, it's a good starting spot. Even if you don't want to blend, look at the blends and say like, which one of these speaks to me? What do I like? What is my color palette? And then you can pick and choose other ones to put together yourself if you want to do it that way. I think it would be a good tool.
Don't put pink and orange together?
You can put pink and orange together. Look at the Dordogne tulips.
Really?
I think it depends on the type. You wouldn't want to put like a warm, fiery orange with a blush pink. That would be, woo. But if you put that real like tropical pink with the orange, like the Dordogne,
what is it? You can do opposites on the color wheel?
That's the most like complementary, like blue and orange, right? Is it blue and orange opposite, or blue and yellow? One of the two. Anyway, I don't pay heed to a lot of that. Class. I think so. Color theory. Next, video was fresh flower arrangement and baking a strawberry pie. I just needed a break from the outside temperatures, so we only spent a little time outside gathering up a bucket of flowers and some strawberries, and then the rest of it was inside. We were in the butler's pantry inside the house putting together a flower arrangement for my mom, and then baked the strawberry pie, which, it was so good. It was so good. Everything was good about it. Like, I saw some comments about how I needed to use half shortening with my butter. No. That crust recipe is so good. Like, I don't feel like I need to change it, like, at all. It's so flaky and delicious.
Could have put some Splenda in it.
Oh, jeez. One time, a guy, like, bless his heart, an older guy.
Are you worried he's watching this?
No. I worked for a short time at church as a receptionist, and he brought me a cheesecake that he'd made with Splenda. Oh, I had that, and he stayed. He stayed while I ate some of it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I could hardly do it. It was
one of those, like, I'll watch you take a bite, and I'm waiting for the response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, it was tough. Whew. NC Flower Girl said, what kind of dehydrator? I'm having some issues reading today. I don't know what the deal is. It's like my brain's moving faster than my mouth can. What kind of dehydrator do you have? You know what? I can look it up because I ordered it on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember the brand, but I can see if I can find it. I'm really happy with it. I really am. I did like a very small amount of research. There was a few like top brands of dehydrators. I could have spent a heck of a lot more money on it. So I got the TriBest SDE S6780-B. Oh, I guess that doesn't matter. It's TriBest Sedona Express. That's probably all you need to know. Amy said, when do you pick zinnias for the longest vase life? So the best time to pick a zinnia, you can go out there and you just do a stem shake test. If they're not like hardened enough, the top will be kind of squishy and floppy. You'll know the difference when you kind of shake that stem. It's right below the flower. It's usually a few inches there. That'll be like not hardened up enough. If it's hardened up to the flower, then you know it's ready to pick and the flower looks good and all of that. Yeah.
Do some people say zinnia in 3 syllables?
Zinnia?
Zinnia?
Which, is that proper?
I don't know.
I find myself saying it both ways. Like, every once in a while I see a zinnia and it surprises me. It takes me by surprise.
Yeah.
But zinnia is how I zinnia.
Zinnia. It's like 2 syllable is usually how you say it.
Yeah.
But you also say foliage instead of foliage, which is
foliage.
3 syllable versus
Shortcuts.
2. Oh, sure. Why use 2? What's that? What is
Why
that?
use many words
when few do?
Few words do?
Why waste time? Say lot word when few word do trick.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Few words work. I don't know. Sid said, I've noticed you always have a candle burning. What's your favorite scent? Are you seasonal with your candle choice? I am not seasonal with my candle choice. I like 2 scents of candles, and it had kind of specific about it though. Like, I love Christmas tree smell, but it's very specific Christmas tree smell. A lot of them are too much and they give me a headache. I like Illume brand balsam and cedar. It's a strong one, you guys. If you get it, like, you can burn it for an hour and then you gotta cap it. But it smells the house so beautifully. I love that one. It's kind of expensive. I blame my mom for that. She bought me one and put one in my stocking one year. I'm like, great, thanks, Mom. Can you find some cheaper candles to put in my stocking that I will like to repeat buy? But I love it. It's like one of those small pleasures. And then I like clovey cinnamon smells. But I'm also very specific about those. I don't want it to be like vanilla sugar cookie, like food smelling. I want it to smell like the spice. There you go.
Boom.
Yep. I am burning one in the Hartley right now that's more, it's different for me, but it's really strong. The smell of the plastic AC unit in there, the mini split, which I know will wear off over time. That smell, coupled with the varnish from our new countertop, it's not a good blend.
Yeah.
And so I'm burning a candle in there a lot, and it does take the edge off, but it has to be something strong for in there. It's a lot of space to cover. Shelly said, your cutting garden is smaller this year. Any particular reason why? It's the exact same size. It will be the exact same size from now until the end of time, until we plow it under. Yeah. Does it look smaller? It's set up differently.
Are the dahlias taking longer to come up?
Oh, is that what she means?
I don't know.
Sorry if that was a kind of snarky answer.
Because last year, well, you've got the maze kind of garden area.
Maze garden's huge. That's like booming.
And last year that was pumpkins.
Yeah, so that looked much shorter. The dahlias are taking off now. They took a long time this spring because it was so cool for so long. I mean, we were still wearing sweatshirts in June, which is it's not typical. And I actually planted those earlier than most years. So those have taken a while. So if that's what you meant, then yes, some things are a little bit behind others. That just every year is a little bit different. But I think there's like an 8-foot section that doesn't have things planted in it right now. Everything else is full. Girl Wiser said, do you use anything in your arrangements to make them last, or just good old plain H2O? Thanks for all you share with us. I use those little packets of Floral Preserver that come with the grocery store flowers. I have such a stockpile of those. From all the flowers I buy during the wintertime. I do have a liquid floral preserver that I bought on Amazon. Again, I don't know what it's called, but I can find it real fast. I have the liquid one out in the cut flower shed so that it's easy and right there. I don't always use it though. It's just like if it happens to be within my reach, I'll use it. It's Flora Life Crystal Clear Flower Food. It's in a 1 pint liquid container. Go OPPA said, have you tried shading your tomatoes? My tomato leaves used to curl like that when I put them in full sun. Now I put them in part sun and they've been loving that. You know, it probably would benefit mine big time, especially during the heat. But the other thing I found out is that the way our zones were working out there, our watering zones, it wasn't watering until like middle of the afternoon. Usually you want to water early so that your plant can get the water on board, and it has it on board for when it starts to get hot. But we were watering like right at the hottest part of the day, which is I didn't realize that. And also I think we kicked it up to twice a day after that. We just weren't staying on it quite deep enough. Mm-hmm. The best luck I've had with tomatoes out there was the very first year we put the cut flower garden just out in the middle of the field. We didn't shade them, nothing, but I was out there. Like I was really attentive to that space. There was less to do in that area, and I would hose water them. Like I would hand water them a lot, in addition to the drip system that we had put to them. So it's just one of those things. They're still producing tomatoes. I need to go pick them today. I was just noticing that when I was out there earlier. So I'm happy with the amount of produce we're getting. Next year, though, you guys, now I'm saying this now, instead of in the winter time when we get really excited and we tend to want to grow all the varieties of all the things, I kind of just want to stick with the ones I like next year. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like this year. I didn't plant a zucchini early because we just don't eat that much zucchini. I did plant one. It's kind of coming up, and we'll probably get a few fruit off. That's kind of perfect though. Plant it as a late season crop, get a few off of it, and then just be done with it. Yeah. You know. But I think next year we'll stick with, I love the Garden Gem and the Garden Treasure have really good flavor and yields, you guys, like such good tomatoes. Super Fantastics are awesome. Ace is really good. Sun Sugars are good cherries.
Beefsteak.
You like beefsteak tomatoes?
Love it.
Do you even know?
No.
I was like, that was such a baloney answer. I could hear it in your voice.
That's the one variety that I know.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they're tasty. They're an heirloom, though. They take longer to produce. But yeah, I'm just going to stick with the ones that I have just traditionally liked throughout the years. Elle said, I see you're still driving the golf cart. What's happened with the other gator and the tractor? Glad that you're going to get a reprieve from the hot weather soon. I drive whatever's available. That's pretty much it. We have a lot of things going on. Paul pretty much has one gator full time. He's got all his stuff in there, like irrigation stuff, tools, that sort of thing. And then typically when we're filming, we've got 2 gators. I'll usually have a gator so I have all the plants in the back, and then usually are in the golf cart with all the camera equipment because it's got the hood on it, so it shades all the equipment and you, because oftentimes you have to kind of just wait, you know, between my steps of my project. That day I had the golf cart because the other 2 gators were unavailable, and honestly on hot days that shade over the top is so nice. When you have the gator, and I've got other batteries and things, I have to move them constantly. There's several cubbies, and depending on how I'm parked out there, I have to move the whole bag of batteries and put it in a shadier spot and that sort of thing. Next video was, I think this might be the last video, was planting 3 beautiful varieties of ornamental grass. So I had one that's a little bit of an older variety, the Cheyenne Sky Panicum. I have one that was new this year, the Lemon Squeeze Pennisetum. And then I had some new ones for next year, which those are my favorite. Niagara Falls Panicum, so So pretty, you guys. I was very excited to get these in the ground, and I think I talked about it in the video how you and I were talking. We need to be leaning on things that look good in the heat because so much of our summer's hot. It's super easy to have a nice looking garden in the spring, and it's easy to have a nice looking garden in the fall because it's just more mild. Things are more fresh looking. In the hot part of the summer, it's tough, and you can look out at areas and think like, oh, I don't even want to look out there. Like, things are just looking so rough. So we're trying to add some of those things that really hold up to the heat, and grasses do. It's funny, we were just talking in the Q&A with my mom. She doesn't like ornamental grasses very much.
Yeah.
She likes some. I remember her having one big patch of ornamental grass up in their front garden, like the top garden, and it eventually all got eaten out by voles. But yeah, she doesn't use, except for like Japanese forest grass. She likes that one a lot.
Well, grasses can look dry.
They can.
And so I get that, but you know.
They also look good during the heat.
Yeah.
Like they
yeah.
don't.
I like them personally, but I can completely understand people who say like, well, it kind of looks dead.
Yeah, I know whenever we put up a video about ornamental grass, I'm like, I think we'll be about 50-50 with this one. Kay said, all is beautiful. May I ask though if this video was on a faster speed? It seems sped up somewhat, or am I losing my mind?
Okay, so the reason I included that is because I've seen, we're having an issue with Facebook where we keep getting copyright strikes whenever we upload a video that has music in it. And I don't know what we're going to do about it. It's like, it doesn't matter. We have licenses, like we're paying for music, right? And what happens is like I submit a dispute and we always win it in the end, but it's just so much work to like submit disputes and figure out what song it was, and you have to go through this process. We don't have time for that. So where was I going with that?
The sped up.
So
yeah.
I remember where I was going. So we've been posting some, like a screenshot of the video or something with a link that goes to YouTube on Facebook. And some people have been complaining about either speed or like quality, but like you can adjust both of those things. You can adjust how fast or slow you watch it.
They can on their end?
Yeah, like on YouTube, it's the little cog, and you can adjust. You can adjust the speed. You can make the video go faster or slower, and you can also adjust the quality. So like, I want to throw it out there that if you say the quality is bad, you just need to pick the quality that you want.
See, I didn't know that, so.
Yeah, if it looks like the quality is bad, you can adjust that on your end. And as far as the Facebook thing, I think I called Ken today and asked him for the foreseeable future on Facebook. I think what we're going to try to do is upload videos with no music. So like, maybe it'll be better. I don't know.
It's like silent planting?
Should
I start talking while I plant?
No, but just the noises that are going on. So like I might be mowing the lawn and it might not sound great, but it is what it is. And we won't have to mess with the copyright strikes.
We can't do any fighting then.
Yeah, no yelling at each other. Gotta quit yelling.
April said, loving the look of the lemon squeeze in Niagara Falls. Question, will they self-seed all over my beds? I had a northern sea oat grass and it seeded itself everywhere it could. I love the look of the grass, but not the upkeep of pulling it from everywhere else. Is there a way to determine if an ornamental grass will self-seed? Thanks for keeping my mornings happy and filled with plants. I don't think those will self-seed. I mean, I've had panicums in my yard for a while, and pennisedums, and I haven't had any issues. I get where you're coming from with that northern sea oats though. I've had that one in my garden. In fact, we had some big ones in our townhouse garden, yeah, it would self-seed itself. It was never like aggressive though. It seemed like they were easy to pull, but I understand if that's not something you want to deal with. But to my knowledge, the ones I planted in this video, they haven't ever, I mean, Niagara Falls is a brand new one, but the other ones, to my knowledge, do not self-seed. BXR said, is it hard to add a spigot?
Just got a trench wherever your water is at.
Hose faucet, yeah.
You got a trench from one location to the next, wherever you want it to go. So
it could be easy, there's nothing in your way, or it could be hard if there's stuff in your way.
Yeah.
Devin said, with the gorgeous seed heads, will these grasses spread and make a total mess? Oh, so we just kind of talked about that in terms of self-seeding. With ornamental grasses, depending on how strong they are, like the Niagara Falls to me looks like a grass that I can't leave up during the wintertime. It's a little bit too, like, I don't know, maybe it does different, like it acts differently once it's been in the ground for a while, but it seems like it wouldn't hold up to like heavy snow loads and it would kind of flatten. There are some grasses that just hold up really well. Like Calamagrata seems to be the panicums actually hold up the other ones, like the Cheyenne Sky and the Apache Rose.
What's the one that gets like 12 feet tall?
The pampas grass?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Most people, it seems like they don't cut that down.
Right, they leave it up for winter interest.
Yeah.
And then some, you just kind of learn over time which ones to cut back in the fall and which ones you can leave for winter interest and enjoy them through the winter and then cut them back in the spring. A said, grasses will add so much interest to this garden. Have you thought about scattering a few large boulders to add more height and enhance the natural look? Also, have you thought about going beyond drifts of perennials and experiment with the plant combination / matrix for a more intermingled look? Maybe consider a project with designer like Roy Diblick. That would be quite exciting. Well, we've talked about lots of different things. The thing about large boulders is that it's actually not natural for our area, and I'm not a huge fan of adding in natural elements that are actually not natural to our terrain. And our terrain here is, it's been a field for ever.
Million years.
And then our terrain around here typically, like there are some areas that are rockier, but it's usually a little bit further out. Here it's like Russian sage and rangeland grass. That's kind of what you see here. There's not a lot of trees, not a lot of rock formation kind of things. So that's why we didn't add any berms or any rocks or anything like that. We will eventually have rooms in this garden to where you probably won't even miss the lack, I guess, of natural curvature. But it'll take a while to get there. Yeah. There are some drifts of perennials though that I already know I'm going to change a little bit. Like I need to move one out so it's a little less of a block and then have something else kind of come into the drift. So it's just stuff that I'm going to be adjusting over time. But overall, I'm happy with how everything's coming together. To add to that, doing an intermixed border, I think for me, I love the look of it in a small amount. Like if I did too much of it out there, I think it would, to my eye, look a little bit messy. And I tend to like to be able to see specific things and be like, oh, there's that salvia over there looks so gorgeous, and look at that thing behind it and something coming in front of it. I want it to be intermixed in a way, but I want there to be enough of that one thing to like actually show up to my eye instead of having too many things going on, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. There's so many gardens out there and styles that are so pretty though, and it would be fun to experiment with different things.
So I think what you're saying is like you can do that if you have small rooms or
like a smaller
small
space
spaces.
Or like a designated, like I think about the borders in England where they've got like the long grass walkway that's like sharply cut and beautiful, and then they've got the borders right along the side of it, and it's a very naturalistic. Things aren't planted in groups as much. Like they'll be like this or that kind of coming up, and it's gorgeous, but it's a very like still very structured.
Oh, sure.
If that makes sense. Out there we're so willy-nilly. There's no structure really anywhere except for the grass pathways, but we will get there with structure. We're going to lean on evergreens heavily for that.
We've come a long way in a year and a half.
Yeah, we really have.
I think give it another year and a half, it'll start looking really nice.
Yeah. Carol said, did you guys do the garden show in Michigan? We are in a couple of weeks. We are heading to Mackinac Island for the Grand Garden Show. That'd be a quick trip.
Yeah, we'll leave on a Saturday and come back on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Don't want to be away from the kids for too long, so we tried to like manipulate travel times. We'll only be gone for 3 nights.
Next year might be able to get, if we go, but might be able to take Samantha with us. She's still napping, so it just makes traveling really difficult.
Yeah. K7 said, have you considered using large architectural elements in the South Garden? Something to consider for such a large space. Like architectural elements, like, we're going to be putting in a structure like a gazebo in one area. I'll probably be adding some benches along the way. We're going to be adding, the stone walkways will help as well. I don't know. I mean, we'll probably add this or that until we like the way it looks.
Yeah.
There's no real plan. Connie said, do you notice bugs hover around your grasses? When I walk by grasses like these in neighbors' yards along the road, the bugs are dense.
We had that this spring.
Yeah, it's not a typical thing, but we had
I took some video of it. I can put it on the screen.
You did? Swarms of gnats, but it wasn't specific to grasses. It almost seemed specific to evergreens.
You know what? I saw them swarming on the roof of the golf cart.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was like anything. It was trees, even patches. It was like they were swarming on the shady side of anything.
Sure.
So wherever the sun was coming through, you could see them on the other side swarming. It was weird.
It was weird. And if you stayed still long enough, they'd come and try to swarm around you.
Yeah.
Lorraine said, have you been getting a little rain? I've been watching the weather in your area, but maybe the spotty storms didn't make it to you. The grasses are going to look so nice as they settle into these spots. So I already mentioned that we had a bunch of rain last night. The weird part is, I was on my way home from my parents' house yesterday, And I got a severe thunderstorm warning, came through the radio, and it said that, like, it gave all the towns around us and what time the storm was going to hit our towns. And it said that there was 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail. When I texted you that, I accidentally wrote quarter, and then I corrected it and said quarter-inch, because I thought, no way, it's quarter-size. And then I heard the warning again, and it was quarter-size hail. That could do, could do some damage to our Hartley. Like, that, ugh. And all the plants too. Anyway, so I raced home, and that storm broke up before it arrived. Yeah. So we didn't even get a light breeze. It was still. And then we got that beautiful storm last night.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if it rained that hard, like where all the lightning was. Hopefully, I haven't heard of any new fires today from that storm. Anyway, that is it for this week's recap. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, next week in the recap, we will be announcing the winners of the bulb giveaway. So, yes, just wanted to remind you. Have a great week. Bye.